Well, hello friends, and welcome back to the cabin. I'll tell you, we've got a brand new solar system sitting over at my daughter's house on a pallet, but she's on vacation. We've got a brand new sawmill that's being built by Wood-Mizer to be shipped here in the next week or so. So we've got a whole lot of stuff going on that we need to accomplish before that gets here. And one of them is the siding on the inside of the new workshop. I want to try to get that done so that I can move any tools that I need down here. That way I'll have them at hand when I'm milling and I don't have to run back and forth. So the experiment that we did in the last video on some of the boards that we had that started to mold, and the bleach that I put on them, I'll show you the result. Although the bleach did a good job, there's still, these actually won't match anything that I've already put up. So this one actually turned out a whole lot better than these two. So I think what I'm going to do is try to pressure wash these and see if I can get that mold off of there so that I can continue to use, because I don't have a way to saw any lumber yet. I've got a bunch of these sawed up, but I need to be able to use them. So let's see if we can get this mold off of here by using the pressure washer. Well, it may be a little bit hard to see, but I tried all the different tips on this, and the one that actually shot like a straight stream was actually just marking up the board. So that's not really going to work. I think what I'm going to do is mix up a stronger batch of bleach and find some new boards and apply that to that and see if that doesn't do a better job. If not, I might not be able to use these as siding. I might have to use them elsewhere on the inside of the workshop, but I've got still a whole lot left to do on the bottom floor and the upper floor. And while I'm thinking about it, I wanted to address this. I've had some comments of different folks that follow the Outpost channel but don't watch the review channel, which is basically a behind the scenes, and I explain and do a lot of things on that channel that I don't do here. But they wanted to know what did I have in mind as far as building the floor in here later on. Did I intend to backfill or whatever? But the way that I built this was for 2x10s. I also added a bottom plate so that the floor joist can actually rest on this and they come up even with this. I'm still going to use hangers, but this is just an added feature that allows you to be able to put your floor joist on there and they can actually set while you're putting them in place. A carpenter a long time ago showed me that. He said whenever you put your bottom plate on, he said make sure and build it a little extra wide, that way your floor joist can set down on it. So there won't be any backfilling. I've got to, I think I've got enough floor joists already cut for this section right here, and I've got some 12-footers for that section in there where the workshop's going to be, which these are 12-footers here, and I don't know exactly how many I've got cut. I think I may have to cut just a few more, but then I've got also the upstairs that I'm going to have to cut as well. That's the reason I use 6x10s up here, just so that I know that they will be able to hold the weight. This whole structure is overbuilt, but I'm hoping that it will not only last my lifetime, but my children's lifetime and possibly grandchildren's lifetime. So yeah, and everything in here is true dimensions. So friends, if you haven't checked out our second channel, it's called Outpost Review. You can find a lot of information like that on that channel and other information that we share. This channel is primarily where we do all of the building. And speaking of building, I think I've got enough boards back there where I parked the tractor to finish off the upper portion and possibly the bottom portion of this second section. So let's get started. Alright, let's see. We need 90. Where's that going to fall at? Right in there. I can get rid of a crack down there. We're going to turn it around, do the same thing on this end. I had to stop and pull everything in real quick because it started raining, and now it's quit again. This will hold the bottom of the board out as I go up so they'll be angled. Well friends, even though the sawmill is missing, but don't worry, we've got a new one on the way. We get our blades from Joe, Maine. Right here's the number. You can also find information down in the description section below. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. It rained most of the afternoon and I had to go change shirts. So I did a little bit of editing while it was raining. Well, I'm getting closer. Well, I actually found a couple of boards that I didn't mind using, which were these right here. So that's what I'm putting in here, because like I said before, the boards on the door are going to run vertical, so I didn't mind putting these there. That way they will match, and it'll kind of make this section right here unique. So I need a couple of them 21 inches. There's one. And one more. Well, we get this put on there, and I think it'll look pretty nice. Well, I think that it turned out really nice. You know, that's as far as I'm going to do any woodwork, because I'm going to go ahead and move this table. We're going to get busy digging the footers for the foundation for the new sawmill. So I've got to do that so that I can build the forms and pour the concrete and get that done. But, you know, had a lot of comments on why did I spend the time hewing these beams. Well, because you can't buy this type of look. One thing I don't want to end up with, and I think these boards that I've added adds character to the building. Because one thing I don't want is a cookie cutter building that's going to look like everybody else's when I get done. So I think by doing the things that we spent time doing, it has added a lot of character to the building. Alright, what I did was I took two tapes. This longest tape right here represents the track. This tape right here represents where a 16-foot log would lay in relationship to the track pretty much. So I would be able to saw past it right here on the end, and then I would be able to start in front of it down here on this end. So what I did was I measured out 4 feet from here. I've got a screw I'm going to leave there. I measured another 4 feet, which is right here. So what I'll do, I'll be able to get where my track is going to lie, and by measuring off of this bottom plate right here. Okay, so I tied a string onto this screw right here. I've got my first screw right here that is marking the beginning of the track to go that way, and then I've also got marks along the bottom plate right here where each section of track actually meets. So the first thing we're going to do is take this string. I'll leave this batter board up until we're done with all of this. Give me something to stretch my string to so that I know exactly where my track is going to sit. So that's going to give me 5 columns. I will have one here. This is the 3-foot column. Then we'll have a 6-foot joint here, a 6-foot joint here, and then one down there on the end. I've got these little fasteners like this that actually you can use to tack up paper, cardboard, whatever. Actually placing those in the ground, and that will give me a reference. It's got this little nail on it, so it's not going to come out even if it rains. That way I can kind of visually look at where the columns or where my joints are actually going to meet. So my columns will sit about 5 inches on each side of these. Oh, 196.5. Alright, I'll ask them 22 feet and 6 inches. I'm going to put this over here. I'm actually going to bank this back in this direction because it's actually sloping that way. But that was to allow it to drain, so I didn't have water standing down here while I was building. Once I get the guttering on right here, I won't have a lot of water settling right here. Plus, I'm going to dig a ditch over there and kind of slope it in that direction where if anything was standing here, it would go that way. This is very, 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 very hard. I'm just about down to where I need to be, so I'm just trying to get this loose stuff out so I can measure it and see. I have to take this spud bar because this ground is so very hard. And this thing probably weighs 25-30 pounds. It does help to be able to keep my line straight and not really dig out any more than I need to. But even with this weight, it's still hard somewhat. Tell you what, this shale and red clay mixed together, or when it's dry, is very, very hard. Well friends, I stopped this morning and I picked up 22 bags because I figured each one of these is going to require 11, and there's 5 of them. So that will be right at a little over 500 pounds per pillar that I'm actually pouring. So the only thing I didn't want to do is I didn't want to get too much and try to mix everything up at one time. So what I've got is enough to do 2 of them. Then I'll have to make another trip because all of my trailers are loaded down. What I've got next is some rebar. We're going to go up to my neighbor's house, we're going to cut it up, and then we're going to make the rebar up to set down in these footers. Alright friends, I'm up here at my neighbor's house, and he said that he thought that I would be better off using this chop saw because it would probably work a lot faster than the bandsaw. So we're going to get this thing fired up and I'll cut the pieces that I need, and we'll go back and start putting it all together. Well, I've made myself a little jig here. I'm trying to get all of this wired up and get it put in the footers so that we can get on with pouring this thing. So this is what it's going to look like, sort of. And I just basically set this down in the hole and then we'll pour around it, and this will add some strength to it. Yeah, so check that out. That's not too bad. Kind of like a little chair. I'll pour concrete probably halfway up in there, and then what I'll do is I'll take and sit this down inside of it, and it'll just kind of set like that, just like that other one sitting over there, and that will give it some extra strength.